I told him before the episode that he's actually the only one or only dentist on the social media I found who's talking about mental well-being around dentistry and pretty much about dentistry, dentists. Before I continue, maybe you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Kyle Stanley. I'm a dentist in Southern California in USA, and I've had an interesting career in dentistry. I've had my hands in many different areas. I was a private practitioner. I'm a researcher. I worked at a university for many years. I'm a speaker. I started a tech company. I work at a lab. I advise a lot of tech companies. I invest in dental tech companies too. So I've had my hand in so many different areas of dentistry that I think I bring a fairly unique global vision on where it's going and what the problems and the good things are.
Okay, the first question is, how was your childhood?
My childhood was great. I have a big family. I have three older brothers. My parents have been married now for 51 years. I kind of had a pretty perfect childhood. Grew up in a middle class area, went to public schools, and really always looked up to my brothers and my parents. I mean, my family is really everything to me. We're all very close, and my childhood was great. I was a performer as a as a child. I was a professional dancer. I was a musician. I played in bands. I was always in front of people, making people smile, making people laugh. I was an actor. So, yeah, I had a fairly interesting childhood, but a good one for sure.
Okay, I won't talk a lot. I just ask the questions. How's the relationship with your parents?
My relationship with my parents is great. I think, growing up, my dad worked a lot. He's a dentist. He practiced for 45 years or 46 years. He did work a lot, but my relationship with my parents is fantastic today, especially. I think with my dad, it got even better once we shared the same profession. It's interesting to share a profession with one of your parents. I never really understood what my dad went through every day at his practice. And then once I started going to dental school and practicing and having patients and having team members and dealing with lab technicians and everything, I really started to understand him. And we've become very, very close over the years. I mean, we were close when I was little, but we became very, very close. I talk to my dad almost every day. So yeah, very, very close with my parents still.
How about your mother?
Yeah, my mom's still very close with her. My mom was like my main parent growing up because she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was working all the time. There were four boys to take care of, so I was like a little monkey on my mom's back all the time. I was just there with her everywhere. Um, so I was definitely closer with my mom growing up, but now I would probably say I'm closer with my dad now, just because we talk about dentistry too, but still see my parents very often. They live very close to us. So yeah, very close with both of them.
How's the relationship with money?
My relationship with money, I think, is pretty good. I think it went into a bad direction when I started practicing and when I really needed the money more. I think a lot of people, when they start to get in their career, they have greed and they want more money and they want to be more successful. Everyone wants more and more and more and more, kind of this hedonistic adaptation. You make $100,000 a year, then you want to make 150, then you make 150, then you want to make 200, then you make 200, and you want to make 300, then you make 300, then you want to make 500. And it's more and more and more and more. But at the bottom of my burnout, at the darkest place where I was making very good money, and I realized that it didn't really make me happy. So don't get me wrong, I like money. I want to make money as much as I can, but it's for different reasons. I think now it's to help more people, to support others, to set up my family for their future. But I think I now have a good relationship with money, but at one point in my life I didn't.
Okay. What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of failure, I would say, which is a hard thing, a thing that many dentists I think are afraid of as well. I'm afraid of failure and people being disappointed in me. That's probably the biggest thing, is people that I love being disappointed in me.
If you were not afraid of anything, what would you do?
It's a great question. I would probably be more creative, I think. I would probably prioritize surfing more. I mean, and that probably sounds funny, but surfing's something that I really love that has kind of fallen by the wayside as I've gotten into other hobbies and other things have taken over in my life. Um, yeah, I think that's about it.
Um, I will go to the two questions, which is connected to your service. Um, I wrote the questions, so I don't have them memorized. I will read them
That's
out.
okay.
So, why did you choose to take on the role of being an advocate for mental well-being, especially alongside your work as a dentist? And what motivates you to continue this important work?
I went through a very difficult time. It was February of 2018 that I came home and told my wife that I was going to quit dentistry. At the time, I had what everybody, what every young dentist would want. I had money, I had prestige, I was doing big cases, I was publishing in the top journals around the world, I was speaking at the top podiums at every symposium and congress around the world, but I was miserable. You see, I was suffering with a lot of challenges. I had challenges with patients, threatening to sue me, wanting their money back, being unhappy. I had challenges with my team members, again, litigation, leaving the practice, that revolving door of dental assistants, for example. My health was in a poor place. I had put off my health just to focus on my career. And so I knew I had to make a change, and I didn't know what it was. And then me being a researcher, I went directly to the research. A lot of this topic of personal well-being and mental health and um, personal growth. A lot of us scientists think that it's kind of fluffy and woo-woo, but there's hundreds and hundreds of really, really good quality journal articles explaining a lot of this that's been proven, outside of dentistry, of course. And so I started studying all of this, and my life improved. I became very creative. I started an AI company that's is now valuated over $400 million. I started speaking around the world. I started helping others. And it's been one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to do is be an advocate for those that are suffering in silence. You see, I thought that it was just me that was going through this. And when I started talking about it, I realized that there were thousands and thousands of our colleagues that were also suffering in silence, and there was nobody that was advocating for them. So I wanted to be that advocate because I didn't have that when I was at my low point. So I wanted to be the advocate for others that may be going through a challenging time.
Okay, beautiful. The next question is, can you talk about the stigma around mental health, especially in healthcare fields like dentistry, and how
Yeah,
that
I mean,
and
there's always
how
been a stigma around mental health,
hmm,
even outside of healthcare, right? I mean, nobody wants to say I'm not doing well. I think that has definitely changed in the last 5 years. It's starting to become a topic that people are open to talking about. The challenging part with healthcare and with dentistry is that we take care of others. And there's this idea that you don't want to be taken care of by someone who isn't in a good place. When the truth is, everybody goes through hard times, and we are not robots just because we're doctors, just because we've been through a lot of education. We're human beings that have good times, good days and bad days. We can be in good moods, we can be in bad moods. And I think once you become vulnerable with everybody, with your patients, with your team, with your family, and you admit that you're not this robot, people actually respect you more. You actually gain more trust with people. You see, I was worried about talking about complications, for example, because I didn't want to look like I was a dentist that had complications. And the truth was, when I started talking about it and preparing patients more for complications, they actually trusted me more. There was like this human connection. It brought me down from being this, I'm this dentist up here, I know everything and you know nothing, to we are just two humans talking. I happen to be the guy that fixes teeth. And it's funny how that grew my business too. So I started to getting more referrals from patients. When I talked more about complications, it was like a lot of people think that being vulnerable means you're being weak. And what I found is being vulnerable makes you very strong, gives you a lot of power, actually. And so that was a big life change for me. And so I'm really trying to change this to not be a taboo subject. I want people to even use me as a scapegoat and say, hey, you know, that weird skinny guy from California, I think I'm kind of feeling like that. You know, is this have you heard of this, or is this something you've experienced? Just so that they can use me as an example.
Okay, I like this. We're back to the psychological questions. If money's guaranteed for you and for your family and the generation after you, but the condition is you have to choose a job, what would it be?
You have to choose a job.
Yeah, one job. Money's guaranteed.
That's a good one. I was just thinking about this the other day too, and I don't know why it's going away from me. I mean, I really like speaking. I could maybe be a speaker. I could maybe continue to be a speaker. I really actually enjoy that. And I think I can help a lot of people that way. But there was something else, and I was just thinking about it the other day. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I think I would just be a speaker.
Do you mean speaker with teaching dentistry?
Yeah, with teaching stuff. It doesn't have to be dentistry.
Mm,
You know, right now I speak a lot about mental health. It happens to be for dentists because that's
mm.
my expertise, but I also speak about artificial intelligence and I speak about implants, and I speak about smile design, and I think about speak about facial aesthetics. So I really do enjoy doing that.
Dr. Stanley in one word.
I struggle with this one. I would probably say family.
If you have your own hearts in your hands, what would you advise it?
My own heart,
Yeah, in your hands.
keep beating. I mean, that may sound dumb, but you're talking more of the emotional heart, right?
Yeah, emotional, spiritual heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say keep helping others, continue to help others.
What's the best moment in your life?
I think that changes over time. You know, the best moment of my recent life that I can think of was this morning, actually. This
Mm-hmm.
morning, I have slow mornings, so I bring my kids to school, or one of my kids goes to school. I have a daughter right now who's 2, and we go to the beach in the mornings and we play in the sand for 30 or 40 minutes and run around in the water a little bit. And it was so fun today. It was just me and her. We were laughing, we were making sandcastles. She had her little Barbie there. We were burying her Barbie. There were dogs on the beach. It was just magical. And I kind of stopped and was outside of my body a little bit, saying, wow, Kyle, you're very lucky to be able to do this, to have this time with your children while they're young.
Any regrets?
I do have regrets. Yeah, I mean, I you don't know what you don't know at certain
Mm.
times. So I think there were times when I was very ego driven. There were times when I said things, you know, like to my wife, for example, that I shouldn't have. Um, I regret maybe not reaching out to friends earlier. Yeah, I think I definitely have regrets. I like to think that it'd be nice to not have gone through burnout, but really, in the end, it worked out for me, and I'm really glad that it did. I went through that difficult time. So I don't regret going through challenging times, but most of my regrets coming from hurting others.
Mm.
And a lot of that was from not really knowing myself and not really having the communication skills that I have now.
The last question is, what makes you you?
I think I'm unique in the sense that, well, I've always been unique. I've always been an outcast wherever I am. So when I was a dancer, I was an outcast because I was a boy. When I was in music, I was an outcast because I was planning on going to college. And everyone else was just planning on doing music. When I was in dental school, I was an outcast because I was the only guy that had long hair.
Mm.
As a speaker, when I started, I was the guy who was really young speaking. And now I think I'm an outcast because I'm one of the only dentists that is talking about mental health, but also one of the only dentists that started a fairly large dental tech company and done some of the other things that I've done. So I would probably say unique. I tend to be unique wherever I go.
We're done. We're done with the questions. I
Great.
loved the interview. Thank you for the answers. I don't
Yeah,
have
happy to
anything
make it
else to
happen.
say. If you want to say something before we end, go ahead. If not, then we're done.
Yeah, I think the last thing I would say, if you have dental people listening, or really anybody listening, is you're not
Mm.
alone. And whatever you're going through, there are other people that are going through it. And, that may sound good or bad, but just know that you're not alone. And it's not just you. There's nothing wrong with you for having good or bad times. We all go through bad times. And there is a path forward, and there are frameworks and ways to make things better. And I'm a great example of that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.